Flipped into the area. It falls for a low drive that finds its way through. Aubameyang goes for power and beats Ortega. It's 1-1 just before the half-hour mark at the Spotify Camp Nou. Manchester City fail to clear the set piece. Bernardo Silva now. Bernardo Silva makes some space for himself. Stinked upfield trying to find Riyad Mahrez. Two possession-based sides. Aubameyang turns. Rafinha blocked by Walker.
You think with the setup from Villa,
the flag had already been raised.
He's got a huge role tonight.
Fair to say we know right now a little bit more of what Villa are trying to do than Nottingham Forest, and there is still that uncertainty around them with, as you heard from Steve Cooper, so many possibilities, so many options, 5 changes tonight. Could he have found the winning formula in time to see off Aston Villa?
Pick your own reward when you buy your car, home or van insurance at Confused.com.
Oh, love that dog.
Rising energy costs are a big worry. Carbon emissions too. That's why we're building our own wind, nuclear and solar energy supply to help prevent energy crises and keep future costs down. Plus, we're Britain's biggest generator of zero carbon electricity.
Introducing our new Ben & Jerry's sundaes and their creamy whipped ice cream topping. And all the chunks and swirls. And delicious fair trade ingredients.
Gundogan.
Great new flavors. And one's even...
Foden goes off as Gundogan. Gets the pass from Kevin De Bruyne. It's into the box. This is Cole. And that's nicked away. Opportunity for Barcelona. It's driven into the net by Frenkie de Jong. On the follow-up off a scramble inside the area. Frenkie de Jong finishes off the chance that saw some more defensive disarray. Gundogan was challenging for that. There's the follow-up. A real rocket. Mahrez. Played across by Cancelo. Easy tap in for Cole Palmer. As Manchester City get back on terms. It's Cole Palmer who finishes off that team move from Pep Guardiola's men. With that, Pep Guardiola runs out of space there. Goes off to be replaced by Erling Haaland. Busquets also withdraws. Drops it. Gavi plays it through. Precision pass. The finish from Memphis, though, is blocked by Ortega. Sergio Roberto plays that across. Finished off by Memphis. No save that time around from Ortega. Barcelona take the lead as Memphis provides a cool finish. Haaland's made a run. Haaland calls for it. Haaland will run onto it. The angle is too narrow. He goes down. And a penalty has been awarded. Steps up, left-footed take, blasts it into the top right corner. Manchester City a level late on in stoppage time. That chipped up to the back post, easy catch for Iñaki Peña, but it's put in. A big mistake that Alvarez is able to capitalise on. 1-0 to... Flipped into the area. It falls for a low drive that finds its way through. Aubameyang goes for power and beats Ortega. It's 1-1 just before the half-hour mark at the Spotify Camp Nou. And that's nicked away. Opportunity for Barcelona. It's driven into the net by Frenkie de Jong. On the follow-up of a scramble inside the area. Mahrez. Played across by Cancelo. Easy tap in for Cole Palmer. As Manchester City get back on terms. Here's Sergio Roberto. Plays that across. Finished off by Memphis. No save that time around from Ortega. Barcelona take the lead as Memphis provide. Steps up, left-footed take, blasts it into the top right corner. Manchester City a level late on in stoppage time. So kick-off just past 9:30 local time. Barca will be wearing their new third kit. And they're hoping to pull the levers. A superb showing. It looks to be back to his best. Ball flies in here.
We watch Aston Villa again as they take on Chelsea before Liverpool face Manchester City. Well, it's been an interesting few days for Steve Cooper. 5 successive league defeats. And after the 4-0 defeat against Leicester this time last week, a lot of people thought that might be the end of him. But a new contract has managed to dampen down some of that speculation. Not sure how much it's changed in reality, but he is still there, still fighting and still looking for that formula. Might he have found it tonight, Roy, with this team?
Well, we'll soon find out. Again, he's chopping and changing. He doesn't know his best 11. One of the big problems for certain managers, you can have too many options. They've not been able to get it right, conceding far too many goals. The keeper needs to do better. Need to show some fight. Yates is the captain. He's back in the team. Yates is a good lad. He will show plenty of fight tonight. Can they tighten up at the back and show a bit more quality going forward?
It's an interesting blend, isn't it, Jamie? You've got the characters like Yates, Cook and McKenna who've been there and experienced the good times, and then you've got the new players that they're trying to blend. Tonight, full debuts for Serge Aurier and Emmanuel Dennis, two players we know well from the Premier League.
Yeah, they have got experience of this league, and that's maybe been a problem for them in the first few games, certainly defensively, being very naive. Whenever I've seen them play decent football, look promising. Even that Spurs game we were happy to get live. I mean, in terms of going forward, they were really good, but they're always leaving themselves open, and they're leaving themselves too much to do. They really are in games like this. But it feels like a really big game for both teams. As we said last Monday with Nottingham Forest playing Leicester, and it feels the same with Aston Villa tonight. I think whoever loses, it will feel like a really big defeat, and there'll be a lot of questions asked.
Really is a big night at the City ground under the lights. Forest taking on Villa, and watching for us, Don Goodman alongside Rob Hawthorne.
Well, real solid support for Steve Cooper. He was given a great reception as he came out here. Unusual in itself, off the back of a devastating defeat in a local derby match. What a strange week it has been for Steve Cooper, who looked unlikely to last 3 days after the Leicester defeat, but now has a contract covering 3 seasons, including this one. Dean Henderson is one of 16 players to make his debut for Forest in the Premier League this season. Last week they switched to a back 4, but it's possible Cheikhou Kouyaté could slip into the back line tonight, with 4 players ahead of that line who all come into the side from the last game. For Serge Aurier, it's his first start for Forest. The change would allow club record signing Morgan Gibbs-White to operate behind 2 up front. It's a first start for Emmanuel Dennis, and of the homegrown players, Brennan Johnson has retained the most faith. So Jesse Lingard drops out of the first 11 and Nico Williams isn't in it for the first time since his move here. Aston Villa have yet to string together 4 unbeaten under Steven Gerrard, but Emi Martinez has gone 2 without conceding since being one of the many goalkeepers beaten by Erling Haaland. Villa weren't beaten in the game by Manchester City despite losing Matt Cash to injury. He's back tonight at his former club. Current captain John McGinn scored 2 goals here when Villa won on their last visit in the Championship. With Leon Bailey absent through injury, it's the first time since May that Emi Buendia and Philippe Coutinho have started together. Callum Chambers, who missed the goalless draw at Leeds with an appendix issue, is back in the squad. Steve Cooper is not guaranteed survival by a new deal, but he has already served longer here than 5 of his immediate 6 predecessors. Amongst the many changes was the recruitment dawn of this man during the summer.
Yeah, and being a former Wolves player, a lad whose career I have followed. Last season, sensational in the Championship for Sheffield United, 11 goals, 9 assists. Forest's most creative spark this season, but there is still so much more for the Forest fans to enjoy. And as for this young player, another one who I followed, I admire. I love ball-carrying midfielders because they can really hurt an opponent when they get past the marker. Things open up. Can he start making, on a more consistent basis, slightly better decisions when opportunities come his way?
Rock solid, the support, both from the fans and from the board here. There's been one change with the recruitment of a new sporting director, Filippo Giraldi from Watford, who aren't renowned for their managerial stability. And Nottingham Forest get the match underway. Certainly from the atmosphere here tonight, you'd never guess that they were bottom of the table. Even with a draw, they wouldn't be at the end of this evening, but they've waited so long to get in the Premier League. They're still enjoying the ride.
They are. I think they've got a manager who they connect with, who gets the club, who gets the history of the football club, who's desperate to succeed here, and they resonate with that, the Forest fans.
Cheku Kouyaté had tracked the run there of John McGinn. The way Forest did start the game, it did look as though they were starting with a back 4, just as they did in the Leicester game.
Yeah, it looked very much that way, as if Kouyaté is going to play in that midfield area.
There's Ezri Konsa, who alongside Tyrone Mings has helped to tighten things up in Aston Villa's defence. It's at the other end of the field where they've had their problems. Konsa. Now John McGinn looking to spread it long to Ashley Young. And here's Jacob Ramsey. This is Philippe Coutinho. And now Konsa. Konsa felt he was fouled then, but Anthony Taylor has let play go on despite that challenge from Dennis. Cross from Ashley Young is a wasted one.
Thumbs up to Anthony Taylor, though. Waited and waited to see if there was an advantage. There was. Allowed Villa to continue. Love to see that.
So Anthony Taylor in charge tonight. It was actually Steve Cooper's father, Keith, who was in charge of this fixture when Nottingham Forest recorded their only Premier League win in it. And Keith Cooper awarded a penalty in the second minute at Villa Park, which was scored by Stuart Pearce. And the Forest team that day, the victorious Forest side, included the father of Erling Haaland. Alfie Haaland was in the Forest team that won that day. And Scott McKenna. Douglas Luiz with the attempt at a header back. Here's Toffolo. Back by Gibbs-White. But Douglas Luiz with a little bit of help from Matty Cash in getting that one away. Buendia looks early for Watkins. It was cut out by McKenna, but the referee's brought it back for the foul on Buendia.
It's a late one by Harry Toffolo, isn't it? Just to leave his mark on Emi Buendia. He's nowhere near the ball, is he really? He's very lucky to escape the yellow card for that.
Toffolo, one of the 5 changes that Steve Cooper has made tonight, changing half of the number of outfield players from the Leicester defeat. Here's Ramsey.
Well, these opening 15 minutes are huge, aren't they, really? These Forest players have to give these home fans something to get their teeth into, but every time they concede a set piece, the alarm bells start ringing, don't they? Because 6 from the opposition have found the back of the net already this season.
And Douglas Luiz has found the back of the net direct from 2 corners this season. 1 in the Premier League, 1 in the League Cup. Quickly. But he pulls this one back to John McGinn.
Staying with runners, stopping the crosses, blocking shots. All basics that they haven't done well all season long. Paid a heavy price for it.
Well, by Matty Cash, who admitted he may never have left Nottingham Forest had they got promoted in his last season here in 2020. And they had a collapse near the end of the season. Back by Yates, who's wearing the captain's armband tonight, Forest's 4th captain already in this Premier League campaign. Buendia took a knock then from Freuler.
In the box there, great burst of pace from the man who now plays for Poland, of course, but the cross wasn't the desired one.
No, that's 2 occasions now where Villa have been getting forward with their fullbacks. The first time, Ashley Young completely mishit his ball, left-footed, went straight out for a goal kick, and then on that occasion, Matty Cash puts far too much on it. Steven Gerrard does like to operate with really high fullbacks, so even though it is a back 4, not orthodox wing-backs, both Cash and Young will be getting forward as often as they possibly can, and he'll need them to put better delivery in than that.
Absolutely, he's on the ball again. He's actually on the left-hand side, this time retrieving it from Douglas Luiz. McGinn and Ramsey staying close to him, buzzing around the midfield areas, trying to win the ball back as quickly and as high up as possible. Here drops Coutinho. That allows Ramsey to run in front, providing an option, but the Brazilian just decides to go backwards for the moment into Tyrone Mings. It's clear that Villa are dominating the ball, and Forest are sat so deep here, trying to keep things narrow and cramp the room for the Villa players. Here's John McGinn. Back once again into Tyrone Mings, who has acres of space to run forward into. Ramsey trying to find a little space in between the defence and the attack. Coutinho drops off once again, but it comes into the centre circle. They need to find some sort of a cutting edge here, Aston Villa. As Ramsey, once again, this time he's the deeper man. Douglas Luiz asking for the ball from Konsa. Gives it back to the centre half. It's all methodical, trying to work out the avenue that they'll find success going forward. Here's Ramsey again, turns to look for somebody, but everybody is being marked at the moment. Here's McGinn looking for a searching ball down the right-hand side. That's a good one. Into Cash, drop back to Buendia. Cross comes in early. It's cleared easily by McKenna. Poor control by Gibbs-White as Buendia is tackled by Kouyaté. Okay, Gibbs-White is in again, but there's a great piece of desire from Matty Cash to sprint in and win that ball back and head it back towards Konsa, who had to stay alive as Dennis was on his shoulder.
Yeah, it was really good patient play that from Aston Villa. I think early on in the game we can see that Nottingham Forest have got pretty much 11 men behind the ball. It's a 4-5-1 formation effectively, with Emmanuel Dennis up front when they're doing their defensive work. So Aston Villa, they can be pleased with the opening 10 minutes so far, and the problem for Forest is they've had so little possession so far. When they do get the ball, they're almost a little bit undercooked and they're not sure what to do with it. So they've got to try and get themselves on the front foot. Home crowd at the City Ground. There will be some expectation from the fans. They need to try and pin Aston Villa back.
Absolutely, especially when they bring into the side today both Remo Freuler and Ryan Yates in the midfield area. Two players who like to play with the ball. A little bit of a contrast to, say, Kouyaté, who's also in the side, but perhaps Lewis O'Brien, who's got that legs in the midfield. And as you say, they're just not getting it to create anything for Dennis, who could become isolated.
Yeah, he certainly could. I think Ryan Yates' role will be important. Last season, he became a proper box-to-box midfielder who'd arrive late and score goals. I think he scored 9 in the Championship. So Emmanuel Dennis will be looking behind his shoulder and hoping that Yates is making those runs forward.
Absolutely, as Brennan Johnson finds Emmanuel Dennis. Good tackle though from Ramsey as Dennis complains to the referee, Anthony Taylor. It is this evening. He wags his finger saying that's never a foul to the Nigerian as Douglas Luiz sprays one out to the left hand side, looking in behind Aurier, who just about heads one inside. Steve Cook then goes down the line. Brennan Johnson battling well but loses out as he gives it to Emi Buendia, who battles forward, still on the ball, gets past Freuler. Good feet to cut inside. Is that a free kick? Yes, says Anthony Taylor, the referee. He's so difficult to win the ball off, isn't he, Emi Buendia?
Yeah, he's got that low centre of gravity and he uses his lack of height almost to his advantage. The fact that he's so nimble and agile, he can get away from players. He's made a really lively start to this game, Emi Buendia. We've mentioned him far more than Coutinho, who's playing on the other side. So Buendia obviously with something to prove, and this is a free kick which is maybe just a little bit too far out to be deemed as a really good opportunity. It's slightly left of centre, so I think Dean Henderson should have this one covered. But they've got their fair share of cracking players who can take free kicks.
Absolutely, the two Brazilians over it at the moment, Coutinho and Douglas Luiz. I think I agree to that view, Dan. A little bit too far out to really trouble the goalkeeper, but it's a goalkeeper who's shipped a lot of goals recently. Whether that's his fault or the defence's fault, I'm not going to make that opinion. But surely from this distance, it's at least 8 to 10 yards out from the edge of the box. The wall, in fact, is outside of the box, which gives you some perspective. Coutinho it will be to shoot, though. Whips it, hits the wall, hits the face of the defender. I think Scott McKenna, who's turned away. A little bit of perhaps pain or dazed, in fact. But the ball goes all the way back to Emi Martinez in the end, and that free kick comes to nothing. It was one of those awkward positions for a right-footer to really cross it. Wasn't the angle to do so, as Aurier will head out the long ball forward there from Martinez, out for a throw-in on this near side. Perhaps a more physical player from Nico Williams in that right-back slot, but Nico Williams, a young man still learning his trade, isn't he? And he's just dropped out of the team for the moment.
Yeah, he's more of a wing-back, I think, than an orthodox full-back. As Villa try and come forward, the cross comes in, it's well dealt with. I do have to say, we've mentioned Forest's 22 new signings. I'd say Aurier is a little bit at the stranger end of that. I was a bit surprised that Steve Cooper went for him. When you consider that at Tottenham, he was often criticised for his lack of defensive ability. He's going to be playing in a side that will have more defending to do, as Brennan Johnson puts a low deflected ball into the box, which Villa are able to clear. But the one thing you can say in the transfer strategy is defence for Forest. Lots of options to pick from.
Absolutely, and you need those, don't you, in the Premier League, especially a Premier League that has an unusual format, with the World Cup being in the middle of the season, as Dennis tries to cut inside against Mings, puts his hands to his face to suggest wondering how that wasn't a foul, but the way that the play seems to have stopped, it looks as though it is. I think Mings got the tiniest nick on the ball there, but Dennis certainly flicked the ball inside and was about to sprint to go and get it, and Mings puts two hands in front of the Nigerian and pulls him down.
Yeah, I don't know why Mings needed to do that, because you're right, he did get a touch to it. He had his body in the way, and I think he was just trying to shake off Emmanuel Dennis. Did it a little bit too physically. It's a little bit brainless, I think, from Tyrone Mings to concede a free kick like that.
Yeah, and it will be Morgan Gibbs-White over the top of this. A little bit of encouragement for Forest in the last couple of moments as they came forward with that one you previously mentioned, Dan, with Johnson putting in a deflected cross. This one from a set piece. What can they create. Plenty of tall Forest players with the likes of Kouyaté, Cook and McKenna up from the back, but plenty of tall Villa players as well. They're not short of those with Concert and Mings right in the middle of this one. Will be Morgan Gibbs-White right-footed to provide the crossing option. Coutinho, the diminutive Brazilian, the only man in the wall. It's whipped towards the penalty spot, headed forward, and it's a goal for Forest. And it's Emmanuel Dennis who's drifted off the defence at the near post, flicked it to the far post, and with their first shot of the game, they've got the first goal of the game.
Massive goal for Nottingham Forest, exactly what they needed with their first opportunity of the game. Well, I was talking up the Villa defence that they were quite a solid outfit, but that's very poor defending. It was a simple free kick drifted in. It was a decent enough delivery from Morgan Gibbs-White. I wouldn't exactly describe it as a wicked delivery, but no one was picking up Emmanuel Dennis. They should have known from his time at Watford last season that he is a pretty good goal scorer, and he does have a handy record. Ball whipped in, no one on Dennis, and it's a very good header, flicked towards the far post. No chance at all for Martinez.
Now the new striker gets his first goal in Forest colours. In fact, there were 3 defenders at the front post for 2 attackers, and he drifts off all of them, doesn't he, including Tyrone Mings, who's behind him. First goal for Forest for the Nigerian in his first start. What a fantastic moment it is for him within 15 minutes of this evening kick-off, and all work to do now for Steven Gerrard's side, who, for all the ball that they've had, they've not really created anything, and it's the home side. And you mentioned it early on, if Villa were to dominate the early stages and get the first goal, then the heads could drop of the fans, but this could really benefit the crowd inside the City ground, who will be right behind their team now.
Absolutely, it should be a raucous atmosphere now, and Nottingham Forest, the lead will suit them because they can now play counter-attacking football. Villa are going to have to send more bodies forward to try and get that equalising goal. The first goal in any football match is so psychologically important, particularly when you are a struggling team as Nottingham Forest are. Much needed. I would expect Aston Villa to still dominate possession, and it looks like they are going to. They're going to try and penetrate this Forest defence, but they've given Dean Henderson nothing to do yet.
Absolutely, it would go and buck the trend, wouldn't it, if Villa were not to score this evening? But it's exactly the sort of performance that Steve Cooper's men would want. But we are only 16 minutes into the game as Cash is found on the right-hand side, looks to control it down. Good hurrying there from Morgan Gibbs-White as Kouyaté comes across to support. McGinn with a cross in towards the far post, and Dean Henderson comes out to rapturous applause from his fans there. Real good commanding goalkeeping there from the man who's fallen out of favour for England at his time at Manchester United, and of course on loan at Sheffield United. He's finally found a starting team where perhaps he feels settled.
Yeah, I think he needed to get out of Manchester United. It looked clear, even though he had that run a couple of years ago towards the back end of the season. I thought he was going to become the first choice from there because David De Gea looked like he was coming to the end. De Gea managed to get his form back. It's good for Dean Henderson that he's managed to get out and get some game time. The only thing is, at the end of this season, he's only on loan. Will he be able to get a permanent move? That's not a great challenge from Serge Aurier on Jacob Ramsey right on this near side, and Anthony Taylor straight away, yellow card in his hand. Another daft challenge. We saw the one from Mings. Aurier diving in there. Right in the back of Jacob Ramsey. That's a poor challenge.
I'd be very surprised if this doesn't go to a VAR check, and I think the only thing that will let him off there is that he catches him with the laces and not the studs, but he's jumped in, one foot's like sliding along the ground, the other foot is high, and as you say, he's coming behind. You mentioned him earlier, he's a rash player. He has always got that potential for giving away a penalty or a red card in him, and Anthony Taylor has instantly given the yellow card, and it looks as though he's been given the okay from the VAR officials that was the correct decision for now. So just a yellow card for Serge Aurier, but he'll have to be careful for the rest of the game as Philippe Coutinho, left arm in the air. Tyrone Mings coming forward for this free kick. He's battling as it stood up towards the edge of the box. Mings going towards the ball, but it's well headed out there in the middle of the park by Ryan Yates. Mings then miscontrols it. It's picked up by Dennis, who also miscontrols it but gathers it back himself. There's Brennan Johnson. Good interception there from Ashley Young. Flicked on towards him again by Philippe Coutinho. He's outnumbered here is Ashley Young as he goes down the line against Aurier, who's the bigger man. Young puts a foot in, and that one will be a goal kick, much to the dismay of Ashley Young. But Aurier seemed very confident.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it's quite remarkable that he is feeling so confident after picking up that yellow card, and it's just going to be such an invitation for Aston Villa to run at him. They're going to want to try and get Coutinho the ball as much as possible. I know he's not the type that picks up the ball and uses pace to run past people, but just those little drops of the shoulder, give and go, try and catch Aurier out, because one rash challenge, as you mentioned, Matt, he is a rash player. He does that once more, Forest are down to 10, and then they've got a big problem to contend with.
Absolutely. We just saw another replay of the Emmanuel Dennis goal. It looked like Jacob Ramsey and Ollie Watkins were the men who were supposed to be marking the Nigerian, as Dean Henderson just takes a moment on the edge of his box. He had to calculate where that ball was going. It was bouncing towards him from a Villa clearance. He ran out of his box, couldn't handle it, and had to run back into his box. It was a little bit of a hairy moment for the goalkeeper, but just about was able to judge it correctly from conceding first. Aston Villa do not have a good record. Just one win in 23 was that time.
Yeah, that's a really poor record. I mean, you don't expect it to be a sparkling record when you concede first. As I mentioned, conceding the first goal, it can often be a big blow in games. And Steven Gerrard will know, he'll be looking on and thinking in the back of his mind that he knows his side have been a bit shot shy this season. They've not scored too many goals. He's not found a way, I think, to get Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings in the same side, so he's having to rotate between the two of them. I think in Gerrard's mind, he maybe feels that Watkins offers a bit more in terms of an all-round game, but in terms of pure finishing, you'd have to say Danny Ings is probably a more natural finisher, so maybe he's thinking he's an option for later on in games. I don't know, but other than those two, there aren't many goal scorers. Coutinho should be, but he's not really been this season.
No, as McGinn puts a ball in towards the box, it's headed down by Watkins. Good diving header there from Yates. No foul, says the referee. It's Ashley Young with a strike! And what a strike that is! Just as we're talking about Villa goals on the half volley, bottom corner, 1-1.
Absolutely wonderful finish from Ashley Young. Villa needed a bit of inspiration, and they've got it. Dean Henderson almost looks perplexed that one has just managed to fly into the back of the net. It's out of absolutely nothing as well. Just a high hopeful ball played to the left-hand side. Young, as he is right-footed, he's always going to try and come inside onto that stronger foot of his, and the space simply opened up. We'll just have another look at the replay. Ball sent over towards the left side of the penalty area. It then dropped to Ashley Young around about 25 yards out. It's a bullet of a strike low into the bottom corner, and I think because there's bodies in the way, Dean Henderson was probably a little bit unsighted. Yeah, there's no way he would have got that. It's a brilliant strike.
What a goal that is from Ashley Young. There's complaints from Nottingham Forest that Yates was fouled in the box, but as Ollie Watkins headed the ball down, I believe it was Coutinho going for the ball. Yates jumps in front of him for the diving header. Great commitment from Ryan Yates, it has to be said. But I don't believe there was a foul in there, and Anthony Taylor agrees, as does VAR, so it will be a goal for Aston Villa on the 22nd minute. They equalise in this one. Ashley Young, his first goal for Villa since 2011. What a start that one is as well, as he then heads the ball out for a throw-in on the near side. And it is a quarter of the way through the game, Dan, so a chance for me to pass to you for the rest of the half, and hopefully it's just as entertaining.
Hopefully carry it on as well, because it has been, as you mentioned, Matt, a really, really good first half of football. And I did say that Steven Gerrard, in the back of his mind, will be thinking about their lack of goals this season. But then if you flip that round, Forest have had the lead in several games this season, and they've squandered their advantage. So that's potentially what's going to happen again. And all of a sudden, from the positivity of scoring that first goal through Emmanuel Dennis, they've conceded, and now there's going to be some real nerves around the place, as there's a bit of a tussle there. Jumping up, just getting a replay of the goal, actually. Yeah, Ryan Yates really committed defending, heading that one away. I don't think there's enough in that to warrant a free kick being given, so I've got to say VAR, if they did have a look at it, they've probably got that decision spot on. Here is Dennis now running down the right-hand side, dispossessed by Tyrone Mings, but the play is being pulled back. Yates was brought down right in front of the two dugouts on this near side. Yates, I think, is gesticulating that that's the third challenge against him now, and he has got a free kick, which Forest roll backwards into Scott McKenna. And now here is Harry Toffolo, one of three left-backs brought to the club during the summer. Renan Lodi dropped. Omar Richards is injured. Villa want to throw in and they take it very quickly, and it's Buendia who's got space to run into. Buendia will try and square it. Yates gets there. It's not the best clearance. McGinn now lays it off to Jacob Ramsey, left side of the box. Ramsey crosses. It's 2-1 to Aston Villa, but the offside flag has gone up against Ollie Watkins, and that would have really deflated the Nottingham Forest crowd had that one counted. In fairness, looking at it first glance, it does seem as though Watkins went a little bit too soon as Ramsey played the ball in. Yeah, it's quite clearly offside. Ollie Watkins, correct decision by the linesman. Stephen Gerrard head in hands, but Nottingham Forest, they've almost crumbled since scoring that goal.
Absolutely, they know what's happened in the last few weeks, don't they, in terms of those leading positions that they've given away. It was one of those from Ramsey. He did the right thing, just smashing it across goal. The goalkeeper could have saved it, parried it out, or it could have gone in itself. But yeah, Watkins, and I think there was another man at the far post, just too far ahead of the play, and if they were onside, I think the ball would have flashed well past them.
Oh, it's a wonderful touch that from Emmanuel Dennis from Harry Toffolo's throw-in. It's now Brennan Johnson, right side. Brennan Johnson will shoot. He was about to get support from Ryan Yates on the overlap. Johnson decided to go himself. It will be a Nottingham Forest corner, and they have harmed Aston Villa from a set piece once already in the game as they send the cavalry up to challenge. Steve Cook and Scott McKenna getting into the box. They do have some decent height to aim for in terms of Kouyaté and Dennis as well, as he looks for a second goal. Gibbs White, the 40 or 45 million pound, depending on which report you believe, expensive signing that Nottingham Forest made, the most expensive of the 22 players. Deep cross towards McKenna at the back post. Villa are able to head it clear. That's another poor challenge in the area. Just trying to see who that was. I think it might have been Steve Cook who slid in. That did look to be a bit of a studs up challenge. Cook's going to pick up a yellow card from Anthony Taylor, so that's two of them now on the right side of the Nottingham Forest defence, Aurier and Cook. Another poor challenge. It's another one that Jacob Ramsey's been on the receiving end of, so he's been in the wars already. Cook absolutely nowhere near the ball. I think where he gets away with it is that as he brings his leg down, it goes in between Ramsey's legs, so you're not seeing sort of stood on shin contact, if you like.
Absolutely. He doesn't catch him with the bottom of the foot, does he? And that's what he gets away with it. It's almost as though they're both reaching for it and both sliding towards it, and that's why it's not gone the way of a red card, perhaps. But a really dangerous one again from Steve Cook in a position he doesn't need to slide in like that. He's too eager. It's in an attacking position. There's no need for it.
Yeah, I mean, Villa would have had an awful lot to do to get forward then. Coutinho with a long ball over the top, looking for Matty Cash, but it's a very good challenge by Gibbs White, who chips one forward now for Cheick Kouyaté to try and run forward. He's over on the far side. Gibbs White's touch is loose though to Coutinho. It's picked up again by Matty Cash, playing on his old stomping ground, a player who came from the Nottingham Forest Academy. Forest win the ball back. Another long ball is attempted, this time up towards Brennan Johnson. It's picked up by Yates, manages to reverse it now to Aurier. Johnson's going to make a run on this near side, but instead he plays it back to Aurier after receiving it short. Aurier barged down by Ollie Watkins. The free kick is given. Aurier got back to his feet, but Forest deciding that they wanted the free kick taken in their own time. They've wasted it there. Johnson's gone down. He feels that it should be a free kick. It is going to be another throw-in for Nottingham Forest, but
it's frantic pinball, isn't it?
Yeah, really bizarre few moments of football then, as Aurier picks the ball up in front of a roaming Stephen Gerrard in the technical area. Aurier's throw-in isn't great. It's intercepted. It's then picked up by Remo Freuler. Here is Ryan Yates now. Yates for Johnson. Aurier makes the underlapping run. Johnson tries to go for the early cross himself. It's cleared. Only as far now as Freuler, Switzerland international, who just bring Champions League experience to the Forest lineup, which is something that not many of these players do. Yates now twisting and turning on this near side. He wins the throw-in. Ramsey gets there. Another break-up in play there from Aston Villa, who are defending really stoutly at the minute. Forest trying to get forward. Freuler now forced to turn backwards. Cook will then scoop one forward. It's a bit of an aimless one and easy for Tyrone Mings to deal with. Cook now comes out, plays the ball to Toffolo, left-hand side, and now Gibbs White. It's Kouyaté Sorry, it's Emmanuel Dennis with a chance to try and run at Aston Villa. It looks as though Dennis has gone out to the left-hand side and Gibbs White has now moved into the middle. Not convincing defending by Forest yet again. Long ball played up. Scott McKenna lost his balance. He tried to head it. He was eventually reached by Steve Cook, but we're seeing a bit of a scrappy affair now, but certainly a very watchable one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's entertaining, isn't it? And Anthony Taylor, the referee, is really buying into it. He's not giving a single decision of a free kick at the moment. He's allowing everything to go. I thought that Douglas Luiz just got caught a couple of moments ago, but it wasn't given as Young goes over the top.
Yeah, over the top, looking for Watkins. Has he managed to keep that one in play? Well, he did, but he had to stretch so much that he eventually fell to the ground and into the advertising hoardings. So the ball back with the Forest defence now. Villa pressing and forcing Forest into giving the ball away. It's not been particularly sparkling football by the home side. A lot of loose passes and long balls played forward. It's Nottingham Forest now. It's their ball. A throw-in is the verdict. No, it's not. It's a free kick, which Aurier will take short. Cook now across to Scott McKenna. The change in formation means that Joe Worrell is only on the bench for Nottingham Forest this evening. Willie Bolly as well, one of their many summer signings from Wolves, is also in reserve if needed later on in the game. Another long pass played forward by Nottingham Forest. Matty Cash, the latest man to go down. Half an hour into the game, you're listening to independent off-tube studio commentary. It's Nottingham Forest 1, Aston Villa 1. Emmanuel Dennis's first goal for Forest cancelled out by an absolute rocket of a strike from Ashley Young. His first for the club for 11 years, which is quite something. Of course, having a long spell at Manchester United and one at Inter Milan in between. Watkins now picks up the ball on the far side. He's running at the Forest defence, but he's dispossessed well by Harry Toffolo, who was chasing. Scott McKenna was there in support as well. Here is Aurier. Ball comes across from left to right. Aurier running towards the halfway line. Exchanges passes there with Brennan Johnson. Here is Remo Freuler now on the half turn, looking to move laterally. And here is Harry Toffolo now, the former Huddersfield man, into the feet of Gibbs White, who has to stretch. Well, he keeps that one in play, and maybe that was ill-advised because it allows Aston Villa to potentially move forward. It's Gibbs White's opposite number 10, Buendia, on the ball now. Here's Cash, far side. Cash infield now for McGinn, and Douglas Luiz. Short, simple passing to Esri Konsa, and now with Tyrone Mings. Ramsey now back to Tyrone Mings again. Here's McGinn, forward to Buendia. Villa's main man so far in proceedings. McGinn with the square ball. It's not a great one, and it goes out for a throw-in.
And after all the frantic stuff, we've come back to what we were seeing in the first 10 or so minutes, isn't it? Just Villa on the ball, Forest penned back, and Villa trying to create something, but they're getting to a stage where they look a little bit sloppy when it comes to the final third because Forest are hurrying them so much, they're forcing them into mistakes.
Here is Mings now, trying to make a move forward, looking to try and link up with Ramsey. He takes too many touches. He's dispossessed by Cheick Kouyaté. And then another sliding challenge goes in, this time from Ben Buendia. It's a proper old-fashioned scrap of a game. Here is Dennis now, who's dropped deep. He's then been fouled. Anthony Taylor does buy that one, and it will be a free kick. The two goal scorers tangling there. Cook takes the free kick quickly and goes for the crossfield pass now for Toffolo. Not really seen enough of Forest down that left-hand side. Whenever they've come forward, it's tended to be Aurier and Brennan Johnson. And I think part of the problem is that Morgan Gibbs-White has been pretty quiet so far. And the times when he has had the ball, his touch hasn't been great. He's run into trouble sometimes. They need to try and get him involved a little bit more often.
Yeah, he's been good on the ball when he's been in his own half, and that's not where Forest need him, is it? As Toffolo goes down the middle, it's not the ball desired either. So Toffolo and Gibbs-White not perhaps linking up, but a chance here.
Gibbs-White is moving forward now. Touch with Emmanuel Dennis. He tried the give and go, but there were a few lilac shirts around him. Chance, though, is still on for Nottingham Forest. Toffolo with the low ball in. It's deflected off Matty Cash, and it will be a Nottingham Forest throw-in. The quality of delivery has often not been great, and that's from both sides as well. Forest dominating the last 10 minutes in terms of the possession, 59% to Villa's 41. They need to try and do something with it. Here is Freuler, short ball to Aurier, who's coming to the middle. Aurier has to turn quickly. I think he was caught in a little bit of no man's land then. Up towards Steve Cook, who then chips it forward now for Yates. Yates needs a little bit of support. He's got Ramsey around him. He gets the support from Aurier. Aurier's ball over to the far side. It was a decent looking one. Czech Kouyaté making the move forward. Heads it on target, but a very simple stop for Martinez to make.
That's the issue with a free-flowing attacking line, isn't it? Emmanuel Dennis is way out on the left wing. He's with Checo Kouyaté. He's the man that you want in the box, but Gibbs White and Johnson have not switched on to that crossfield ball, and Kouyaté has nothing to aim for by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think it's all about that synergy. If Forest see that Dennis is roaming in those wide areas, one of them needs to get forward and gamble and get into the box. On that occasion, it was Czech Kouyaté, and he's not a bad target to aim for because he is a big frame, he is good in the air. He scored a few goals in his time at West Ham and Crystal Palace from set pieces. I think it'll be he and Ryan Yates who try and get forward. Remo Freuler will be the deep-lying orchestrator, if you like, in the midfield, as Villa try and link up over on the far side. Buendia dispossessed there. Scott McKenna getting in front of him. It's going to be a throw-in for Villa, but I think they're lining up for maybe a long one. Cash with the ball in hand. Player who, as Matt mentioned earlier on, discovered that he's got Polish ancestry and now plays for the Poland national team. He puts the cross in towards the back stick, but it's good commanding keeping from Dean Henderson. Oh, he's bowled it out a little bit too quickly though. Johnson gets there, he's forced to backpedal, as is Ryan Yates. All just really scruffy and sloppy from Nottingham Forest. It's Henderson who threw the ball in such a way that the spin took it away from Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely, and Johnson was looking over the wrong shoulder, wasn't he, to try and find it. Going back to Matty Cash, of course, he's gone to the Polish national team thinking, I'm never going to get in to play for England. Well, Kyle Walker is out injured with an abdominal muscle injury. Trent Alexander-Arnold got injured yesterday in the game against Arsenal. You got Kieran Trippier and Reece James there. Then he perhaps would have been the third option for the World Cup, but it's one of those. He can't be picked now.
Yeah, maybe it would have been, and it'd be funny if, well, obviously not funny for Kyle Walker and Trent Alexander-Arnold, but if there's only two right-backs in England's squad, whether Cash would have been the third option, and maybe he looks on with a bit of regret. Villa have got a free kick now. That might be a bit of a regretful challenge from Remo Freuler, as he barges Jacob Ramsey down to the ground. Another challenge where it's just silly from the defending player. Why did he need to lean in on Jacob Ramsey like that when Ramsey was being penned in towards the byline? He wasn't going to have much room to work with. Now all of a sudden Villa have got a really dangerous looking free kick.
Yeah, it was leaning in, wasn't it? I mean, Ramsey's touched the ball, his momentum is going in one direction for the ball, and Freuler just cuts off that run, and it's always going to be given as a free kick, isn't it? And set-piece goals conceded this season, 6 already for Forest, which is more than anybody else, and with quality like Douglas Luiz on the ball putting it into the box, you don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to shoot? Is he going to cross? Anything could happen.
Yeah, it certainly could. It's right on the left-hand side of the box. Douglas Luiz did go for goal. Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing. It was probably the wrong decision. Forest come away with the ball now. Here is Kouyaté as he kept the ball in play. No, he hasn't. It's going to be an Aston Villa throw. And now he doesn't want to let go of the ball. Check Kouyaté. Probably wise as well, and Kouyaté and Buendia engaging in a bit of a pushing and shoving match. I mean, I'm not really a betting man, but if that was a scrap, I think I know who I'd be putting my money on.
Yeah, and Ashley Young's now getting involved in that experience. He doesn't need to do so, does he? Serge Aurier is actually trying to calm him down in the end. It's turned a little bit of a scuffle, but yeah, there's probably about a foot of height difference, isn't there, between Buendia and Kouyaté. I think it was Kouyaté who was hanging on to the ball, and yes, he should have given it away because it was a throw into Villa, but I don't think he knew that decision and then thought, I'm just going to slow things down. The Villa men got a little bit handsy with him, trying to nick it back. It's all just a bit of nothing in the end. The captains will be called over, but Anthony Taylor will just see this one out with around about 6.5 minutes to go till added time in the first half.
And there's the cursory handshake between Buendia and Kouyaté. I just wonder how sincere those are.
Yeah.
Not very, is my hunch. Young with the ball in hand now. The Aston Villa goal scorer looking to try and help create something. Well, the throw-in is touched on by Aurier back into his own box. It's then belted clear. Comes now to Ryan Yates. That's a really good ball forward, but the touch again, it's so poor. It's a recurring theme from both sides. It's almost amazing that we've had 2 goals in this game, because attacking-wise, the final ball and final touch simply hasn't been there. Douglas Luiz, chance for him to put the ball in left-footed now, and Forest given the ball away again right on the edge of the area. Ryan Yates, who gave it away initially, he does well because he wins it back and then gets a free kick for his troubles. The man who's got the Nottingham Forest armband this evening in the absence of Joe Worrell, another player who's come through the Forest Academy system to be a leading light for them in the Premier League. We've got 5 minutes to go until half-time. I mean, I'm going to ask the question, who's going to be the happier of the 2 managers? Or should I word that, who's going to be the least unhappy?
Yeah, absolutely. I may give this game the commentator's curse in a good way, but I can't see another goal before half-time unless something unusual happens once again. They're both good until 30 yards from goal in a way, and they're very frantic, as you say. I don't think Steven Gerrard will be happy with the way that they've linked up in and around the box at all, and Steve Cooper won't mind that he's level with Aston Villa, but being that he was a goal up, he'll be very frustrated that goal came out of nothing.
Absolutely, he certainly will, and by no means has it been a dull game. It's been a very watchable, kind of frantic contest, but in terms of real star quality on the ball, it has been lacking, and both sides will of course be looking to their benches. These days you can make 5 substitutions from a 9-man bench, so options are plentiful for both sides if they want to look and change things going into the second half. You maybe be tempted, if you're of a Forest persuasion, to look at the defence and look at the fact that Aurier and Cook have both picked up yellow cards. Steven Gerrard just in conversation with the 4th official. He's seen something that he doesn't like, but something of nothing. Aurier throwing up towards Morgan Gibbs-White, who again can't trap the ball. It's not been a great display from Gibbs-White this evening, and you almost feel sympathy for him in that he went to Forest for such a high transfer tag that expectations on him will be far higher than they are for any of the other players in their squad. Maybe with the exception of Jesse Lingard, who we know he's going there on massive wages.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the curse of price tags, isn't it? He's not really created much tonight, it has to be said, as you said just before, and he's looked a little bit frantic up there, as Forrest looked frantic in defence again, but are able to play out from the back. It's not been his night tonight, but a half-time refreshment could change things.
Freuler down the line, the ball doesn't stay in play. He took a bit of a risk then, Cruyff turning before he was able to move the ball forward. Martinez now for Douglas Luiz, and now Ezri Konsa. Cash is in space, and Cash is sought out. Cash, though, will just roll it back to Konsa. Here's Mings now. Villa offering options. Ramsey is one of them. Buendia another. Ramsey now for Konsa. Cash is making a move forward yet again. Ramsey is there in support. Forest not really pressing in terms of the modern sense of pressing. It's more of a low block, if you like to use your modern football lingo. Here is Luiz now, wrestled pretty much by Ryan Yates, who I think has forgotten what sport he's playing with that challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the last 20 minutes or so he's been in constant conversation with Anthony Taylor, referee, not wondering how he's not had the fouls he's had, and therefore he's giving them away on the other side, which is not helping Forest whatsoever. He's been very, very physical in this game.
Yeah, it's often what frustrated players can do. They can take their frustration out on others and then give free kicks away, which is always an ill-advised thing to do, particularly when your team is under the cosh. Villa looking to put Forest under the cosh now. Here is Ramsey, skips inside from the left. Ramsey now with a square ball for Ezri Konsa. Konsa moves forward. That's a wonderful pick out. The ball is squared into the area from Matty Cash, but it's dealt with by Remo Freuler, who slides in. There were several red shirts in the area. They are good at getting men back and defending like that, Nottingham Forest. But how about that from a pass from Ezri Konsa, played across by Cash, and had someone got on the end of that and scored, it would have been a lovely team goal.
Absolutely. Cash has done really well to find those runs, those gaps, those spots in behind, and Konsa has done equally well to play it to him.
Corner's taken short to Coutinho. And then McGinn, big opportunity. Douglas Luiz shoots. It's another block into the area. And then a wild challenge by Konsa recovering. Gibbs-White moving forward. I'd be surprised if Konsa doesn't pick up a yellow for this. And indeed, the yellow card is in Anthony Taylor's hand. Primed for him to raise his arm and show it in the direction of the Aston Villa centre-back. I don't know what he's complaining about. Anthony Taylor didn't really have any hesitation. Yeah, it's just a scissor challenge almost on Morgan Gibbs-White as he slides in. Well, maybe not quite a scissor challenge. He doesn't wrap his other leg around him, but it's definitely clumsy and definitely a booking.
Yeah, he jumps in front of him, doesn't he, to volley it forwards, and fortunately for him, he does win the ball in the end, but only by virtue of missing it and then the ball dropping on top of him afterwards. It was a really daft challenge from Konsa, absolutely, as Dennis then nudges Mings. That one's always going to be a free kick as well. As we come up towards the 45th minute mark, we'll see how many minutes of added time are coming for the end of the first half, but I have to say that it's been quite even this first half. I think it's fair that they're both level.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe the fair scoreline, given the pattern of the game, should be 0-0, but it is one apiece. One mistake from Aston Villa in conceding the free kick to allow Nottingham Forest to score. The marking was poor as well. And then one moment of pure inspiration from Ashley Young, thrashing the ball into the back of the net from around 20-25 yards out. 2 minutes of additional time at the end of this first half, and Scott McKenna very nearly runs into trouble. He'll be grateful that he had Steve Cook with him as the short option. Back now to Dean Henderson, up towards Brennan Johnson. Tries to flick it on to Emmanuel Dennis, but it goes over his head. He misjudges the bounce of the ball. They're not exactly rushing to take this throw in. I think they'll be content to go in at the break with the score 1-1. In fact, I think Forest will be as well, so maybe both sides will try their best to just keep hold of the ball for the rest of the first half. Johnson tries to get there ahead of Tyrone Mings, who slides in, and he gets something on the ball at the expense of a Nottingham Forest throw-in on this near side, around 35 yards from goal. Aurier takes it quickly. Yates goes down to the ground, and finally he's won his free kick. I think he's been campaigning for that for the majority of this first half. Douglas Luiz presenting the free kick to him, and another good opportunity for Forest in not too dissimilar an area to where the first goal was scored, a little bit further away, but on the same side and the same kind of angle that Morgan Gibbs-White can look to find a good ball.
I actually think this is a nicer position. It gives a little bit more space for Morgan Gibbs-White to put the ball in behind the defence and in front of the goalkeeper, and the Forest players can get some good momentum sprinting towards this. But Villa are playing quite a high line here, just off the edge of the box.
Is there one last twist in the tail before half-time? Morgan Gibbs-White, he needs to maybe try and create something. It's not been a great first half so far. Gibbs-White over everyone's head, and that's going to safely and harmlessly drift into touch for a throw-in. Kind of sums up his first half on a personal level. And that is the end of the first half, where the scoreline is 1 apiece. Nottingham Forest taking the lead early on, thanks to an Emmanuel Dennis header. But then Ashley Young, with his first Villa goal for over a decade, puts Aston Villa back on level terms. Half-time at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest 1, Aston Villa 1.
Well, it's half-time at the City Ground, and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they were for a few moments after the 15th minute, thanks to a free kick from Morgan Gibbs-White. Found the head of Emmanuel Dennis at the front post. He was unmarked by the Villa defence and flicked it into the bottom left-hand corner. But not just 7 minutes after that, a moment of inspiration from Ashley Young. A rocket shot on the half-volley from 28 yards saw the game level. It's 1-1 at half-time. Well, it's half-time at the City Ground and the two sides cannot be separated, but they... Well, we'll leave that there as the game is back underway in the second half at the City Ground. It's Nottingham Forest 1, Aston Villa 1 as we stand. A set-piece goal, a header from Emmanuel Dennis on the 15th minute was cancelled out by Ashley Young's rocket shot from a long way out, it has to be said. Dean Henderson looking through a couple of men in front of him as the ball fired into the bottom left-hand corner. It's been an intriguing game, an entertaining one, It's been flowing from one side to the other and been quite frantic as the referee Anthony Taylor has allowed things to go, as Aston Villa have just won a corner early on in this second half. Myself, Matt Guy and Dan McCarthy alongside me. I'll bring you Dan's thoughts in a second, but we'll see how this corner routine goes first in these early stages of this second half. Independent, unofficial, off-tube studio commentary coming your way of this evening Premier League kickoff. There's plenty of men up for Villa here from this set piece, of course. Seeing Forest, the team who have conceded the most from set pieces so far this season. There's a bank of 5 Villa players as Louise whips one in, out swinging corner routine towards the front post. Header away from a Forest man. It's then won back by Jacob Ramsey off Emmanuel Dennis, bursting into the box on the left hand side, puts it in towards the penalty spot, turned away by Ryan Yates, and here comes Dennis on the counter, trying to play one forward, easily cut out by Ashley Young, and all that comes to nothing, Dan.
Yeah, it was a really good ball whipped in by Douglas Luiz, I thought, from the corner kick, and it was just such a congested penalty area, very difficult for any team to try and score from that, as Villa look to try and burst forward again, but Aurier does just about enough there. Forest looking to counter-attack. That ball from Dennis, it didn't reach Brennan Johnson. You can see the idea was there to try and release him to run out the Villa defence, but it wasn't to be. But another fast start to this second half, like we saw in the first, and maybe Forest have just got to weather a little bit of a storm.
Yeah, absolutely. Villa came out of the traps in the first half with good possession, didn't they? They dominated the ball. Forest dropped deep, but they did really well to score the first goal of the game. Forest, as Coutinho down the left-hand side, nutmegs the defender in front of him, bursting into the box, shoots towards goal, and that one rose well above the crossbar in the end. Not sure if there was a little bit of a nick, but the look on the Brazilian's face says no, there wasn't.
No, it's really poor that from Philip Coutinho, who we mentioned in the first half, in comparison with Emi Buendia, need to see him get on the ball a little bit more. That's better, him driving into the box, but from that kind of range, yes, it's a fairly tight angle, but he's got to be doing better in terms of getting that one on target. This was a player who only a few years ago moved to Barcelona for well in excess of £100 million. He's a special player on his day, and you'd expect more from that kind of range.
Absolutely. Cutting in on his right foot from the left wing was his speciality, wasn't it? You saw him do that day in, day out for Liverpool, scoring plenty of goals. As a really confusing ball down the left-hand side there from Brennan Johnson, was it, Dan?
Yeah, I think it was, to try and find Toffolo. I mean, he's expecting Toffolo, I think, to be Usain Bolt there to try and get to the byline. Yeah, it's way too much pace on it. And again, another indication of the fact that Forest, they've given the ball away yet again, just as I was speaking then. Really poor control from Emmanuel Dennis. I do think some of the ideas are there, but the execution has just been way off.
Yes, Douglas Luiz brings the ball into the Forest half here for Villa. Watkins out to the left-hand side. Watkins has touched the ball less than anybody else so far in this game. Ramsey then has his pocket picked on the edge of the box. He goes down claiming a free kick, but it's Yates on the ball as Freuler gave it to him. Right-hand side is Johnson looking to play the ball forward. Who did that come off last? It's the Forest man, says the linesman over on the far side. Johnson, the young Welshman, cannot believe that decision. Just nothing going Forest's way in this second half. They need to really shore up defensively to make defensively as the ball gets threaded forward in towards the box. Now it's Ramsey looking to square one across the face of goal. Great sliding challenge from Scott McKenna, turns that one away as the ball stayed in. I think it has. It's back to the edge of the box as McGinn strikes. This one's blocked away, and eventually a chance here for Forest to break as Brennan Johnson looks to clear as he's been caught there surely by John McGinn. McGinn can't believe it. He says he got the ball, but he will go into the referee's book. Yellow card for John McGinn in a frantic couple of minutes.
Absolutely frantic indeed. I've no idea how that ball that was threaded forward managed to find Jacob Ramsey. It looked to go through about 3 or 4 Nottingham Forest shirts and somehow managed to find the Villa man, but it is crucial defending. This ball that we're about to see here, how did none of those red shirts intercept it? I think you could say, if you're going to be kind, that it was an absolutely brilliant ball played forward. Somehow it stayed in after McKenna made the initial challenge, because if McKenna doesn't get there, Watkins does, and it's a tap in into an empty net.
Absolutely, it was just slotted in between Aurier and Steve Cook, wasn't it? And neither of them engaged to win the ball back, and it went through. And I have to say, I think Jacob Ramsey delayed a little bit, didn't he? He needed to take that strike left-footed. Yes, it's his weak foot, but a solid strike is causing the goalkeeper an issue there, especially given it's a goalkeeper who's been in question so far this season. But yeah, Villa ghosting through the defence, and but for Scott McKenna's left boot, they would have been 2-1 down in this one. As it stands, though, 1-1 in this game. As a long ball forward from Cash this time, down the right hand side, great control by the Argentine. Buendia whipped in towards the box. It's a heroic head this time by Steve Cook to turn that one away. Ramsey, left hand side, flicks it back towards Coutinho. He goes back into Ashley Young, opens up the play, but goes back towards the Brazilian. They're outnumbered here defensively on that left hand side as Young curls one into the box. It's deflected into the air. Out comes Dean Henderson, and that attack comes to an end. But what a ball from Buendia.
Absolutely wonderful. I mean, the touch initially to just pull that ball from mid-air and then get the ball in, because he looked like he was being challenged. He had to do it while a little bit off balance as well. The cross in was near perfect, and Steve Cook had to be in the right place at the right time, which he was. The ball then came just a few moments later to Ashley Young, who decided, I've scored one already and I think I fancy my chances from range. But his strike deflected and very, very straightforward for Dean Henderson. But the pattern of this game, virtually identical to the first half, in the Aston Villa dominating the opening stages. It took Forest 15 minutes to get their first attack going forward, and they scored from it. They might have to be patient again.
Yeah, absolutely. Villa on the other side, Stephen Gerrard will just be asking for that final ball, that little bit of clinicality from his side that we've not really seen, apart from that long strike from Ashley Young, as a foul goes against Nottingham Forest and Emmanuel Dennis, who puts his hands up saying, how did that go against me? But the Forest fans are in agreement with him, as the searching ball forward for Villa is cut out by Harry Toffolo. Goes down the line looking for Dennis. It's overcooked, isn't it, there from Toffolo, as the ball comes back to Martinez inside his own 6-yard box. Here's Mings, comes short to Buendia, dropping very deep alongside Douglas Luiz, and he can drive forward with the ball. Out to the left he goes into Coutinho. Down the line is Ashley Young. He's got Ramsey just inside. He drops it off to the former. Will he look to go inside or cross? We'll just see as the moment, as he just chops one back. Reverse ball looking for Buendia. Them two not quite linking up, and the ball goes out of play. But from both sides, passes overcooked down the flank.
Yeah, exactly like it was in the first half. The half-time break doesn't seem to have done too much. Stats just come up on our screen. The amount of time possession has been lost. Emmanuel Dennis topping the charts with 16. Morgan Gibbs-White with 15. I think that stat backs up exactly what we've been saying for the majority of the game, in that Forest are giving the ball away far too often when they get into the final third. They've not been able to create the right sorts of opportunities, and they might be made to pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. As Toffolo put the ball out on the left-hand side, not seeing him going forward whatsoever. In an attacking sense, have we? Aurier's not really got forward either, so potential changes, especially given Aurier's on the yellow card we spoke, didn't we, in the first half. Perhaps he may come off for Nico Williams, a more attack-minded fullback, but we will see what Steve Cooper decides to do as this game goes on. Tyrone Mings dropping one quickly to Buendia. It's returned back to him. It's a very fluid attacking line now for Villa. Buendia is everywhere on this field. Ezri Konsa into McGinn. He's caught just lazily just controlling the ball and expecting nobody to be on his shoulder. But here come Forest on the counter-attack. Morgan Gibbs-White driving inside, looking for a run of Johnson down the left. He finds him, continues his run himself. Does Gibbs-White. Luiz with a good tackle in there on Johnson, but the ball is still with Forest. Gibbs-White, right-hand side, is looking for some movement. Yates is down the line, shifts the ball onto his right foot, looking for a cross perhaps, just chops back for the moment. Comes into Aurier, now inside for Freuler. Freuler to the left into Toffolo in an inside left-hand position. Who's down the line? It's at the feet of Emmanuel Dennis. We've seen him on the left wing a few times. He looks to drive against two Villa men and, of course, gets his pocket picked as well. Buendia taking a chance. McGinn with poor control. Just able to get the ball away down the near side, and it's frantic again as Watkins boots it straight out of play.
You know, it's almost been Sunday League standards at some points in this game, but it's still an oddly kind of compelling watch. Emmanuel Dennis giving the ball away again. I thought it was really good play initially by Morgan Gibbs-White. That burst forward he had with the ball, he's been crying out to try and do that more often. But then when he released the ball to Brennan Johnson, they were almost running in exactly the same bit of space as Gibbs-White tries to prod one forward to Emmanuel Dennis, who did make the run. It was too much pace on it. But when Gibbs-White let go of the ball, I think he and Johnson just got in each other's way, and that's what brought that momentum to a halt.
Yeah, absolutely. They are two similar players, aren't they? Two young players who done very, very well for their respective teams. Of course, Gibbs-White coming into the Forest team. Both playing really well in the Championship, just looking to make that step into the Premier League, impressing fans around the globe. 55 minutes gone in this one. Forest 1, Aston Villa 1. As down there goes Ramsey. He gets up and shoves Ryan Yates. That one's going to be a yellow card surely, as Anthony Taylor steps in to push them apart. Yates certainly caught Ramsey and knocked him to the ground, but there's no need for Ramsey to get to his feet like that. He ran straight over to Yates, and I think he'd be very, very lucky to escape the booking here.
Yeah, I don't think he is going to escape. And John McGinn's making the point to his teammate. He's trying to literally drag him away almost. As Yates made the foul, Ramsey gets up, shoves him in the chest. It is handbags, but it is silly from Jacob Ramsey. Maybe Anthony Taylor will be a little bit lenient and just say to Ramsey, right, that's one challenge. You do that again, you are going in the book. Ryan Yates, I don't think did anything wrong there. I mean, yeah, it was a foul, but Ramsey didn't need to react in that way.
No, Yates has certainly been in the referee's eye line today, hasn't he? It looks as though there's going to be no booking, so that leniency perhaps that, to be fair, he has shown in terms of the niggly fouls here and there. Anthony Taylor has let things go, but he has already whipped out the booking a few times already, hasn't he? 2 times Steve Cook and Aurier for Forest, and 2 times for Villa in McGinn and Ezri Konsa. But here are Villa from this free kick opportunity. Mings is up on the left wing at the moment as Coutinho looks to potentially lift one in towards him. He goes down as it's headed out by Steve Cook. That set piece just have nothing in it really for Villa as away comes Dennis. He miscontrols the ball. It's now Mings again on the left wing, and the play has been pulled back for another foul by Douglas Luiz, who is certainly getting frustrated with the referee himself.
He is. I mean, just going back to that free kick, it was baffling really, the setup for that with Mings and I think there was someone else that was out so far wide. It was never really going to be too threatening. Forest are going to make their first change now, and I think it's a change that both me and you, Matt, have maybe mooted. Serge Aurier's evening is over. Forest not taking the chance with him being on a yellow card. His thigh is quite heavily strapped up. He's pulling that strapping off his shorts now. It was obstructed by the shorts, so maybe there's a little bit of an injury concern there. So a like-for-like change. Serge Aurier off, Nico Williams on.
Well, it must be frustrating him in some way, that strapping, because if it wasn't bothering him that much, why would he rush to take it off before he's even left the field? He's got another, 33 minutes in this game where he can sit on the bench and take it off.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to make the point, I'm injured. I'm not just being hooked here.
Yeah, absolutely. But Nico Williams onto the field at right back. Potentially some youth and exuberance to sprint down that right-hand side, and we've not really seen Ashley Young troubled in a defensive way too much this game as Dean Henderson puts his left boot through the ball and underneath it as he whips that one straight out of play for a throwing on the near side. Ranks this season for Forest, Williams is top in shots, chances created, tackles and interceptions. That's both attacking and defensive stats there. Which
maybe begs the question, why hasn't he started today? I know they've gone with the back four and he is a more of a traditional wing back. I'll break off. Cash comes forward now for Aston Villa. Now Buendia tries to turn. And he's laid it off to Douglas Luiz a long way from goal. I thought there was going to be a big shot lined up then.
Absolutely. It was a good touch, wasn't it, from Cash down the right-hand side. Beat Gibbs-White, came into the box, fired it into Buendia's feet, who looks to go down the line now. Cash finds him, sprinting towards the byline, looks to chip one into the box. It's deflected away off McKenna and out for a corner kick. Last attack came to nothing. What can it come to here for Aston Villa? Hands on the head, frustration from Buendia. He knows he's found some brilliant positions this evening, but they've not really been able to create that opportunity, and that is the criticism of Aston Villa this season. Douglas Luiz then with a corner kick, potentially from the side that he doesn't want to take it from. The out-swinging ball, he has gone for goal a number of times this season direct from the other side, but left arm to the sky, looks to outswing this one near post poor. It's deflected down. Ezri Konsa goes down. All eyes on the referee. Nothing given for now. Luiz looks to cut inside on the right wing. Whips it in left footed to the far post as Watkins attacks it. Saved by Dean Henderson. And he gathers the parry as well. Just about clamoured from the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, really good stop that by Dean Henderson, because it's an excellent header from Ollie Watkins, doing exactly what strikers at the back post needs to do. He gets good contact on it, a downwards header, so Henderson has to get down to the ground very quickly, but not far enough into the corner. Henderson stops it.
Absolutely, as Gibbs-White looks to spray one out to the right-hand side. He's booted that one so hard that it's gone skidding well in front of Brennan Johnson. He's not going to be able to get that one, and out for a goal kick it goes, but it was whipped into the box, wasn't it? In towards Ezri Konsa, who looked to control it, I think, with his chest. In fact, it may have hit his bicep, and he certainly gets a boot from Ryan Yates. Now, I don't want to make too many comparisons, but If Gabriel Jesus could get a penalty against Liverpool against Thiago, surely that's a penalty as well, if you're looking for referee consistency.
Yeah, if anything, I think there was a little bit more contact in that from Yates than the one that we saw yesterday, but Villa look to try and burst forward now. I'm a little bit surprised maybe that VAR didn't have a look at that, or we didn't see on our screen that VAR were deliberating it with the purple screen.
Absolutely, as Cash went down and the referee said get up, as does Buendia, or is it Douglas Luiz this time, is told to get to his feet, and Nico Williams finally on the ball, chance to chase forward. He's got Brennan Johnson in front of him, looks to put an early ball into the box. He can't get it over Tyrone Mings, who leaps as high as he can, heads the ball away out for a throw-in on the right-hand side, but encouragement there for Nico Williams from the fans over on that far side of the City Ground. Independent off-tube studio commentary, 61 minutes gone. Nottingham Forest 1, Aston Villa 1 in this game. What's certainly ebbed and flowed and been an interesting watch as Williams looking for an option with the throw-in. There's not too much movement. It eventually goes towards Brennan Johnson and it just gets headed out for another throw-in over on the far side. Williams inside to Yates, poor control. Luiz forward up towards Watkins, lays it off to Buendia, turns in midfield, finds John McGinn. It's Coutinho and Watkins chasing forward. It will come to this, the latter of those. He's in front of Steve Cook on the left wing now, looking for somebody to get forward. He's holding the play up on the left-hand side. Eventually, here's McGinn. First time cross towards the far post, but all of the smaller men are in the box and it goes over all of them.
Very, very easy for Dean Henderson, and yet again another example of poor balls in the final third. Amazing that we've managed to see 2 goals, judging by some of the quality. I think Forest are rallying, though. We're trying to see their key players like Gibbs White and Johnson get on the ball a little bit more, and they are still trying. The good thing you can say about Forest is that those players aren't hiding, at least.
Absolutely. As Toffolo tries to find Gibbs White, in the end, Konsa is rushed to a clearance, and actually it finds the feet of Watkins. We saw him sprint down the right wing in the first half and it came to nothing. He's outnumbered here. He needs to hold things up and look for some support, but it's a good tackle from McKenna. They just showed him down the line, didn't they? There was nowhere that Watkins was going there. Foul will go to Villa, and that's the criticism of Watkins, isn't it? He wins the ball, he turns well, he sprints down the right-hand side, but nobody is able to keep up with him, and he doesn't have the composure to find somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for Watkins in that regard because he does need a little bit of support from colleagues. I thought he drove forward quite well with the ball, but I think it's an example that he could do with maybe someone up front with him. I wonder if Stephen Gerrard might be tempted to throw Danny Ings on, but leave Watkins on as well and maybe have a change of formation.
Yeah, perhaps. Buendia has certainly been entertaining in this game, hasn't he? But Coutinho less so, as Dennis now on the left-hand edge of the box cuts inside on his right boot, not able to shoot as he chops one forward, deflected off the chest of Douglas Luiz. Here's Remo Freuler out to the right-hand side for Williams, looking to create perhaps, just drops it into the centre circle for now as McKenna goes out to the left-hand side. Toffolo under pressure will go back to the goalkeeper, and Forest and Villa can both reset. Here's McKenna on the ball once again, and he goes back to the goalkeeper again. Freuler dropping deep in the midfield. Out to the right-hand side he goes into Nico Williams. Johnson not really providing that option down the line, so he comes back inside to Freuler again. Yates and Freuler just exchanging positions. Yates has space, has a chance to drive forward with the ball. Drops it into McKenna, and Forest can switch the attack here. The focus comes to the left-hand side as Toffolo controls it just about from going out of play. Cheku Kuyate into the feet of a dropping Gibbs White. Out to the left-hand side. Good football here for Forest. Whipped in by Toffolo. Far post is a man free in Johnson. Laid off to the edge of the box to Gibbs White. Good toe in there from Luiz. In comes Nico Williams to win that back, but this is better from Forest. Freuler. Right-hand side is Johnson. Chance to run, and Ashley Young is not beating him yet this afternoon. Good turn from Gibbs White against Luiz. Outside the foot. Shot from Gibbs White. Just wide of the left-hand post. Almost the quality we've been asking for.
Absolutely. It was a wonderful turn initially from Morgan Gibbs White to get away from Douglas Luiz, and it's fantastic invention. He had to try and create something on his favoured right foot rather than his left. It's maybe a little bit further wide than initially we thought, but it got Steve Cooper up off his seat. It got some of the Forest fans up off their seat, and it's good play from Morgan Gibbs White. That's the kind of quality he needs to try and produce on a regular basis.
Absolutely, it's one of those, and the confidence to go for it with the outside of his boot as well. It was trapped underneath him a little bit. It couldn't go with his left foot, so went with the outside of that right, and here come the Villa changes. Philip Coutinho is to make way, and that man that you mentioned, Danny Ings.
Yeah, so that's going to be 2 up front now, with Buendia, I think, playing a little bit more of a central role. I mean, he's not really been stuck out wide anyway. And I think you're just going to have to ask a little bit more from the fullbacks in terms of getting the width going forward. It might even turn into something like a 3-4-1-2 with Douglas Luiz maybe dropping a little bit further back. But 2 forwards on, and that should worry the Forest defence, given how rickety they've been this season.
Yeah, it will be that diamond in midfield. I wouldn't mind seeing Ramsey and McGinn switch sides. They're on their opposite flanks to their favoured feet. Perhaps McGinn on the left foot, Ramsey on the right foot. Going down the line might favour them as the ball comes in for Forest towards the far post. Dennis chasing to keep this one in play. Does just that. Gibbs White is short for support, but he'll drift into the box himself against Cash, duping him into a tackle perhaps. Dennis, left-hand side. McGinn is easily able to nick that one back and plays it forward for Buendia in that number 10, looking for the option forward, not quite there for the moment, and back it goes to Konsa and Tyrone Mings, who will play with the ball inside their own 18-yard box, but there's only one man pressing them, and that is Emmanuel Dennis. Douglas Luiz will take the ball and drop the shoulder, just come forward with it for now, into the feet of Ramsey, opens it up on the right-hand side, pressed quickly by Yates, as is McGinn by Kuyate. Cash drops it inside once again. He's looking for somebody to come forward perhaps, but Douglas Luiz will drop into the quarterback position, looking for a ball forward and slow things down again as McGinn finds a good ball forward in towards Ramsey to the left-hand side now to Buendia. He's got Yates covering across. He looks to chop one back inside, does so to Luiz. Then he goes to McGinn. The Forest defence has sat so deep they're inside their own box here. Cash will drop it back into McGinn. The Scot looks to feed something forward perhaps, drops it into Konsu, who's pressed very forward himself for a centre-half there, it has to be said. McGinn slowing things down again. It's methodical again from Villa. It's that possession where they've dominated but not quite cut through, looking for something to find a chink in the armour perhaps of the Forest defence. 1-1 in this one as Young on the left-hand side standing over the ball. He's not really pressed by Johnson, and as Villa come back it will be a good opportunity actually, Dan, as we approach the 3-quarter mark in this game, to pass over to you for the rest of it.
Cheers, Matt. It's John McGinn in possession now with Konsa wanting it. It's instead played to Buendia, and now Cash with the low ball in, but it's Ryan Yates who's got in the way once more, and defensively he has been a real shield for the back four that's been operating so far. He's always got into the right position when Villa throw those balls across into the area, but it's Villa starting to get a little bit more on top now. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Nottingham Forest 1, Aston Villa 1. Goals after 15 and 22 minutes, so it has been a bit of a while now. Buendia down the line looking for Ings, his first touch since coming on. Cash will try and cross, it's blocked off. Morgan Gibbs White back doing his defensive duties, and it will be a throw-in now, which Cash takes pretty quickly. Back now to McGinn, square ball looking for Tyrone Mings. Here is Ashley Young, he's got Brennan Johnson looking to try and support, or looking to try and challenge, I should say. Good play, incisive play from Villa. It's Watkins in the box, it's pulled back and it's headed downwards, and that was a really good opportunity. It was Danny Ings who got there, and it's a very strange attempt at stooping almost onto the ball that was played into the box from Ollie Watkins. Forest now try and come forward, but Williams has run into a bit of a cul-de-sac. Ball is played into the feet of Danny Ings. He looked to be a long way offside, but that was an opportunity for Aston Villa. In fact, I don't think it was Ings in the end. It was Watkins who played it forward. No, it was actually John McGinn. They're wearing the same colour boots. Strange attempt, really. I'm wondering if he maybe could have gone with feet instead. He dived a long way low to get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's sprinting into the box, and perhaps that sprinting means he gets to the ball sooner than he'd want, but here come Forest.
Yeah, it's Dennis now. Dennis needs to release the ball. He does. Williams, space for him to cross, and he is going to cross. It's a poor delivery. It comes out, though, to Chet Kuyate, who shoots, and that's stopped by Martinez. And it was a good save. He made that look incredibly easy, because I thought that was about to arrow right into the top corner. Referee Anthony Taylor nearly getting into the way. Kuyate shoots first time. It bends around Tyrone Mings, and Martinez gets there and makes that look very routine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's traditional goalkeeping, isn't it, in the sense of going with it with two hands to try and catch it. It's great work from Emi Martinez. As you said, the referee almost getting in the way. Here come the changes for Forest, or perhaps just the one change for now, and a change up top.
Yeah, Emmanuel Dennis, who scored Forest's goal, but he's otherwise struggled this evening. I mean, he'll walk away and say, I've scored what more do you want me to do? But other than that, has been a little bit of a struggle for him. So not Tayo Awonyi coming on, it's Sam Surridge instead. So Steve Cooper choosing not to use his summer signing from Union Berlin. Sam Surridge, who signed last season from Bournemouth. He was in and out of the side. It was a battle really between himself and Lewis Grabban, who played up front. Lewis Grabban leaving during the summer. Surridge on in his place, and I think Steve Cooper might be thinking that fresh legs up front will reinvigorate them, because in fairness to Dennis, he did quite a lot of running.
Yeah, absolutely. Some legs running in behind, perhaps just some battling to put the Villa men under pressure. Absolutely. He's a tall man as well, isn't he, Surridge? So perhaps the opportunity to cross the ball into the box, they may go down the flanks as this game goes on. But Morgan Gibbs-White, I think, is looking brighter as this game goes on.
Yeah, I do think he is. And Sam Surridge's first contribution is to win a free kick from Tyrone Mings, and it was decent play from Forest all round. Long ball down the channel from Harry Toffolo, well flicked on by Morgan Gibbs-White. That was a good spring to get there ahead of Ezri Konsa, and then the first involvement from Surridge is to put his body in between ball and man. Tyrone Mings fell for the bait, Surridge went down, and a free kick is the verdict. So another opportunity this from Nottingham Forest, far too much distance on it for a shot at goal, but Morgan Gibbs-White will look to try and stand one into the box. Quite a central position, so they can be quite tricky, these, slightly left of centre, and Gibbs-White has taken it short instead for Toffolo on this near side. Toffolo crossing position, instead he pulls it back for Morgan Gibbs-White. Square ball now to Remo Freuler, a bit of a waste all things considered. Freuler for the long crossfield ball up towards Gibbs-White. It's an excellent first touch, and Gibbs-White has support from Toffolo. Gibbs-White gets away from Matty Cash there in between the legs, but he takes it just that little bit too far. Douglas Luiz across. He now punts it clear. It reaches Steve Cook. Cook goes down. I think he slipped, but Forest still in possession. Toffolo, now he's barged down by Douglas Luiz. That's going to be a free kick. Luiz, I think, is claiming that Toffolo simply ran into him rather than him fouling. I've got a little bit of sympathy with that argument, because Toffolo is so close to him as he plays the ball around, but Douglas Luiz, he angles his body into Toffolo, so I think that is probably a free kick.
Yeah, it's almost as though he's not trying to get out of the way, as opposed to just purposely knocking him down, as you say. But the fans are right behind Forest, aren't they? As you say, a waste of a free kick, the previous one. I don't think it was the worst option in going wide, but they didn't gamble enough to be able to get that ball into the box, did they? And in the end, it caused a little bit of an issue as Steve Cook and McKenna were getting back. Steve Cook then fell over, didn't he? But Gibbs-White surely put this one into the box.
Yeah, free kick on the near touchline. Gibbs-White floats it towards the edge of the penalty area. There was a Forest man that went down there. I couldn't quite see who it was, but no real vociferous appeals for a penalty, which tells you all you need to know usually. Now Cash breaks forward. Good turn from Danny Ings. Ings has got Watkins in support. He plays it instead now for Jacob Ramsey. Ramsey looking to link up with Watkins, and then Ramsey tries to thread one through. Will it drop for Ings? No, it won't. Headed back to Dean Henderson, who bowls another long ball out, and Gibbs-White just about keeps that one in touch. I think Stephen Gerrard, I just saw from the corner of the picture, is trying to claim it went out, but to no avail, because Buendia wins the ball back, early ball in. Henderson comes out and he bowls it out again, and Forest will come forward once more. Here is Remo Freuler carrying the ball. He's got Johnson making a run down the channel. Freuler plays the short pass instead to Ryan Yates, and now here is Nico Williams. Watkins really chasing.
Yeah, it was really end-to-end stuff for a moment, wasn't it? It was good from Dean Henderson, not just bowling it out quick, but also reading the ball from Buendia on the right-hand side. But there was so much frustration and the gesture from Steve Cooper on the near side as Morgan Gibbs-White picked up the ball, just ran straight into the defender in front of him. He was really frustrated because it was a good opportunity for Forest.
Yeah, there's no question that Gibbs-White's influence on this game is beginning to heighten, but still he needs to make a real telling contribution, and Forest give the ball away again. Williams, the substitute, running into trouble, but in fairness to him, he gets back and tackles Jacob Ramsey. It's a great challenge, and now he and Ramsey are engaging in a pushing and shoving match. Ramsey, not the first time he's been involved in that. I think I did mention earlier on that Ramsey will get away with that one earlier with Yates, but Anthony Taylor might say to him, one more, you're in the book. and he's got a booking for his trouble. Silly that from Ramsey.
Absolutely. I've just seen Douglas Luiz as well clash heads with Brennan Johnson. There was no need for the initial clash, was there? It was just two young lads battling for the ball, one winning it off the other winning it back. It was a real good scrap between the two of them, no need for the afters. But then just seeing that, as Ramsey blatantly just pulled Nico Williams to the ground. They didn't need to go head to head. I'm not sure if Williams got a booking, but just see on the replay, Douglas Luiz then squares up to Brennan Johnson, and Johnson is claiming that he got a bit of a headbutt there. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but I'll love to see a replay from a different angle.
I mean, it's right in front of Anthony Taylor, so it's silly from Douglas Luiz. I don't think there's too much in it. Steve Cook trying to defuse the situation. Whether or not VAR will be having a look at this. Johnson, of course, is going to make the most of it as he possibly can. It's the dark arts that unfortunately is embraced a lot in football these days, but I wonder if we are going to see those purple VAR graphics on the screen with Douglas Luiz making that challenge. Well, Villa are going to make a substitution now, so I'm assuming it's been looked at. John McGinn on a booking is coming off, and a man who signed for Aston Villa on deadline day from Wolves, Leander Dendoncker, on in his place. That almost tells me that Villa are happy to settle for a point as it stands.
Yeah, Dendoncker, a man that's played centre-half in a back three for Wolves, and more of a defensive midfielder, isn't he? So perhaps a defensive-minded approach there from Steven Gerrard. McGinn more of a box-to-box battler.
Forest send the free kick in towards the edge of the box. It's just over McKenna's head. It will drop for Scott McKenna, and that's a Maradona turn in the box. Rescued by Surridge, who crosses it in, looking for the back post. It was a pretty good ball as well with his left foot, but Martinez smart to it. Kouyaté lurking at that back post, so nothing becomes of it. So Forest are looking to try and press the advantage they've got at the moment. They're having quite a lot of the ball in Villa's half, and now Villa with it in their own half, trying to just make Forest do a little bit of chasing, slow the pace of the game somewhat. Here is Jacob Ramsey. I'm almost a little bit surprised that he hasn't been withdrawn, because he's proving to have a little bit of a short fuse, and that was his fourth booking of the season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of young players in the Premier League who have picked up a lot of yellow cards. Scott McTominay is banned for the next game after that yellow card against Everton 2 minutes after coming on. Equally in that game, Anthony Gordon picked up a match ban as well for too many yellow cards. So it's been a feisty Premier League season, and the young lads are leading from the front.
Absolutely. You kind of want to see it, but on a similar level you almost don't. But Premier League in general, we are seeing more flowing football, which is welcomed by everyone. It is a physical sport at the end of the day, and a lot of fans were unhappy with the lack of physicality allowed by the officials, so it's a good directive. Mings now forward to Watkins in the box. It's back with Tyrone Mings. He needed support. He gets it from Douglas Luiz, around about 30 yards from goal. Luiz across now for Dendoncker. And here is Esri Konsa. Forest have got everyone back behind the ball. A 4-5-1 formation yet again. Sam Surridge leading the line up top, and Villa looking to just play the ball around Forest for the moment. Dendoncker in for Cash. Cash moving in field. Tries a 1-2 there, and it will be a free kick. Remo Freuler with a shove in the back on Emi Buendia. Another free kick in a very threatening position.
Yeah, I was just about to say that since Coutinho went off, it's almost as if they've been able to double up on Buendia and not allow him to get the ball in dangerous situations. But it's such a silly foul, isn't it, from Freuler, who's just dropped it off perfectly as Buendia back towards Cash, and they would have won it back anyway, but he just puts the foot in, nicks him, and it's a good opportunity here. Douglas Luiz, probably the man going to be over the ball alongside Buendia from this right-footed opportunity, but it does cut off a bit of the angle to be from a right-footer, but they don't have that left-footer taker on, who would be Coutinho, who of course is out injured.
Yeah, I'm not really convinced they've got a left-footed player on the pitch at the minute, so it is going to have to be with the right foot. Douglas Luiz has stepped away from it, so it appears as though Emi Buendia is going to be the taker. 10 minutes to go in this really finely poised Premier League contest. Nottingham Forest desperate to try and get off the foot of the table, which they will do with the result as it stands, but they want to secure their second victory of the season. Buendia really fancies this one. He's licking his lips, he's exhaling, He's looking for the near corner because Henderson is at the other side. The wall needs to do its job. Up steps Buendia. It's straight into the Forest wall. They've done their job absolutely to effect. I think it was Ryan Yates who the ball cannoned off. And now Villa are going to respond by making a pretty attacking substitution. Ramsey, who me and Matt thought was primed to come off, is coming off. And it's going to be a young forward, Cameron Archer, on to replace him. He had a very productive loan spell at Preston in the second half of last season. Steven Gerrard has stopped him from going out on loan. He's kept him in his squad for moments like these to try and make a name for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going back to the free kick, was really poor, wasn't it, from Buendia? Went with that instep, the dipping approach, almost patented by David Luiz as of late, but yeah, it's really poor as Villa now look to break, actually.
Yeah, counter-attack is on, but Watkins almost runs ahead of the ball. He tries to rescue it, but Remo Freuler gets there. Archer's gone across to try and make the challenge, which he does, and it is going to be a Villa throw-in. Archer throwing his body around. 3 forwards now on the field for Aston Villa, so the Dendoncker change looked to be more of a defensive-minded one, but Archer, Ings and Watkins all on.
Yeah, I think he was viewing the future, wasn't he, Steven Gerrard, looking to drop in alongside Douglas Luiz, Dendoncker. That will allow Buendia to perhaps support those 3 strikers who are just going to absolutely go for goal, and that youth and exuberance from Archer could bring alight something special.
Surridge looking to go forward, but it's cut out by Mings. Johnson would have been in otherwise. Then collected by Williams, but Douglas Luiz gets across. Here is Buendia, plays it down the left-hand side for Watkins. Watkins is going to run at Ryan Yates, who's surely going to pick up a yellow card for that. A clear obstruction, and Yates puts his thumb up to the referee, almost agreeing with the decision. Yeah, properly taking one for the team.
That was like Douglas Luiz on the other end, but he meant it more than Douglas Luiz. And in fact, he puts his forearm right across the chest and it collides off the chin of Ollie Watkins, doesn't it, in the end? Good on Ollie Watkins, to be fair, to just complain to the referee and get back to his feet as opposed to rolling around holding his chin at that moment. But yeah, Ryan Yates has almost talked himself into the book, never mind running across and fouling him.
First yellow card of the season for Yates, a bit of a forearm smash in Watkins' face. So now, what can Villa look to create? They're shooting in front of the travelling fans who've made the short trip from the West Midlands to the East Midlands for this Monday night football, and they'd love to see a winning goal right in front of them. Opportunity knocks for Aston Villa. Lots of movement in and around the area. Goes towards the back post, and it's headed across by Cameron Archer. And it's almost like his head's a 50p peach because it goes spearing away from goal more than anything. He got into the right position. He was lurking at that back post, but it's just really poor contact.
Brilliant routine from Villa. Buendia beat his man as well. They had 2-on-1 at the back post. The defender didn't know who to pick. He picked up Buendia. It was Archer on the ball, and as you said, he did a defensive job. He headed it away from goal as opposed to towards goal. It's a great opportunity for Villa, is that, and not their first of the game, but another one that goes achingly away from goal.
Here is Buendia, and now with Matty Cash, Dendoncker makes the move ahead of him, and then Buendia goes into the box. Dendoncker digs out across. It's a towering header away by Cook. It then comes back out to Ashley Young, edge of the area, but a free kick has already been awarded. Luiz has been a figure of frustration for this entire game. Yates is down on the deck. He's holding his lower back by the looks of things as that free kick came in. Cameron Archer, he's almost just facing the wrong direction. He should be on the half turn looking towards goal. He's probably caught in 2 minds whether to go for goal or try and tee up one of his colleagues. If it was the latter, he just gets far too much on the header.
Yeah, if he's going for goal, it's a really difficult one. He's got to get enough pace on it to beat the goalkeeper, but take a little bit off to allow it to dip in towards that far post to loop over Dean Henderson. And as you said, there's 3 men in there for Villa, but none of them are really quite attacking the far post, which means he doesn't quite know where to go. And as you say, just gets it all wrong in the end. But with a little over 5 minutes to go in this game, you just wonder whether that was going to be the chance.
Here's Toffolo now, winning the ball back from Ings, and Toffolo's going to move infield with the ball. Progressive run, but he shows too much of it to Dendoncker. Villa with the free kick, or instead Anthony Taylor has decided to play the advantage. Here's Douglas Luiz. Can he be a creative force for the rest of this game? We've got just over 5 minutes of the 90 left. It's still Nottingham Forest 1, Aston Villa 1. Time is running out for both sides to look to get a winning goal. Here is Ashley Young. Brennan Johnson is there trying to do his defensive work, and he does it really well. The Villa captain goes down. He gives the referee the look, wanting a free kick. He's not going to get it. That's good play from Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, I have to say Gibbs White and Johnson have battled really well in defence. They've shown a lot of energy defending, whether it's frantic or whether it's measured. It's been good, which has stopped Cash and Young for the most part. Yes, Young scored, but it was when he was cut inside, and Cash has been found a couple of times on the right-hand side, but it's not as if it's with regularity.
Well, it was a weird goal kick that was just taken then by Dean Henderson. Ryan Yates gets to it in the centre circle and somehow hooks it forward. It was almost a perfect ball for Sam Surridge, but as most of the Forest passes forward have been, just a little bit too weighty, and Martinez was able to smother the ball. Villa in possession, as they have been for quite a lot of the last 10 minutes or so. Here's Louise now, who does look to have dropped a little bit deeper in the Villa lineup, almost playing in the middle of a back three, just allowing some of the Villa wider players to get further forward, offers a little bit more protection. Here is Concert, diagonal ball up towards Ollie Watkins. Dean Henderson has been outstanding in terms of claiming those high balls. Often modern goalkeepers, they'll either flap at it or punch it or not even come out at all, but Henderson showing that he's the boss in his own area and coming out to grab it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of 6 1/2 in the aspect that, yes, he's done brilliant. He's attacked it beautifully and caught it with 2 hands every single time. But at the same time, the balls from Villa have been poor. That one from Conser was floated so much, it was really inviting for the goalkeeper to come out. That was one of the lesser dangerous ones. He has had more dangerous ones that he's claimed really well this evening. But, yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? He's done really well from that situation. But I don't think that's the question about Dean Henderson, is it? We saw at half-time he's conceded a lot of goals from outside the box, Dean Henderson. That's where eyes are pointed, a few question marks around the Aston Villa goal tonight. We both in agreement that he was blocked off by a couple of men, wasn't he? He couldn't really see the ball, and it was a bullet from Ashley Young in this one. But 1-1 in this, coming towards the final moments, and neither team has really looked to grab it.
Heavy touch from Louise. It's one back by Kayate, and can he set Nottingham Forest away? It's Surridge. Lays it back off now for Gibbs White. Surridge makes a move down the left-hand side. He needs some support. Gets it from Toffolo. Toffolo leaves it instead for Morgan Gibbs White. Edge of the area. Gibbs White shoots. Really eager to try and score a goal, and then that's a mixed clearance, and Aston Villa are allowed to come forward. Cameron Archer. Kayate tries to get back, but he almost falls over his own laces. Archer in for Watkins. Watkins with the back heel. It sets Archer back a little bit, but Aston Villa still in possession. Here is Buendia. Archer now collects it. Left side of the box. Tries to cross. He, Ings and Watkins all in the area, but neither of them were ever going to get to that ball played by Cameron Archer. Freuler is now all around them, and that's been given away cheaply. Young trying to battle his way into the box. He goes down to ground under the challenge of Nico Williams. He's told to get up to his feet, and now down the other end, Aston Villa have a free kick because Sam Surridge has given away a foul. This is all set up to be a grandstand finish.
Absolutely. It was Ashley Young down that left-hand side. He couldn't believe that he didn't win a foul there. I think it was just outside the box. I don't think the penalty was ever in question. As down goes Ryan Yates, I believe. Now, whether he's a little bit of an injury here for the Forest skipper, but this could be just taking the sting out of the game to stop that grandstand finish that you just mentioned, Dan. But I have to say, I've been really impressed with Archer's influence in this game. He's come on, he's attacked everything with real directness. He played a good ball, didn't he, into Watkins to play a 1-2. Watkins' back heel wasn't on the money. He then battled down the left wing, hacked out a couple of balls, and they almost created a chance in the end. Changes coming for Forest to try and kill this Villa momentum.
Yeah, Lewis O'Brien's about to come on. I think that might be for Ryan Yates, just to make sure that he's not injured going forward, because he is going to be an important player for Forest. He has had a pretty good game defensively for them. Last 10 minutes possession, Aston Villa 86% as they take this free kick short. They've opted against sending it long into the box, but they are going to do that now from the centre circle. Headed on by Ollie Watkins. Kayate urged to leave it by Henderson. He duly obliges. We've got 30 seconds left of the 90 minutes. O'Brien on the touchline. He's decided against bringing Jesse Lingard on. And in fact, a bit of a surprise that Yates isn't the man coming off. It's going to be Gibbs White who's withdrawn instead. So this is more of a defensive-minded change. Gibbs White, an attacking midfielder, Lewis O'Brien, just more of an orthodox, almost box-to-box midfielder. He was very good for Huddersfield in the Championship last season, so he's going to be brought on with the remit of trying to kill this game off.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to hang on to the ball, probably, won't they? As Gibbs White has done well going forward, but he has given it away a lot this evening with 3 minutes of added time to come. It will just be Surridge up there alone with Brennan Johnson to perhaps do something in these final moments. There's a clear... Oh, the goal kick, from Henderson is another weird one.
Yeah, his distribution has been a little bit ropey in the last few minutes or so, but it was another one that nearly turned out to be quite good as it angled its way forward. 3 minutes of additional time, of which we've played 30 seconds. Long ball forward by Villa is well dealt with by Steve Cook. He and Scott McKenna can be pleased with their defensive work so far, as much as Villa haven't really given them a huge amount to do in terms of real incisive, clear-cut opportunities. Here's Dendoncker now. Dendoncker forward to Buendia. Tries to get away from Toffolo, who is chasing him. Buendia's ball across now for Douglas Luiz, and now Ashley Young. Watkins is on the left-hand side, with Archer now in the middle. Watkins has got Williams and Johnson, the two Welshmen, in and around him. Forward to Buendia. Yates gets across, makes another challenge, and then Buendia shoves Yates down to the ground. And that'll really frustrate Steven Gerrard. He's turned away, he's shaking his head now, and he'll be annoyed at Emi Buendia because that attack has just dissipated into nothing for a clear shove in the back. Yeah,
absolutely. I think Buendia has certainly touched Ryan Yates, but I think in his very limited Premier League experience, Ryan Yates has mastered the dark arts this evening, hasn't he? He's been right in the referee's eye line. He's won free kicks when he's needed to. He's been frustrated by the referee at times, but all in all, he's kept quite a calm head, hasn't he? And he's done what his team has needed. He's won a free kick in that area, which was, as you said, really frustrating for Aston Villa and Emi Buendia. And Buendia just looked at him to say, yes, I touched you, but come on, get up.
Yeah, very streetwise footballer, I think he'll be the description of Ryan Yates, one that the Forest fans clearly love as he came through the academy, so any academy player is always loved by the fans. Villa maybe with one last chance to get forward and attack. Archer can't keep that one in play. It will be a Nottingham Forest throw-in as Matty Cash played it down the channel. There were two red shirts around Archer, and it was always likely that the two red shirts would come out on top. Both sides probably would accept a point if offered them right now with 30 seconds to go. Will there be any undue risks taken? Forest have got themselves a free kick. I say that, they are going to send men forward and try and get this winning goal because they need to get wins if they are to survive in the Premier League. McKenna and Cook are getting up there, and this will be something if they can get a goal.
Absolutely, it would stop the rot, wouldn't it, of 5 losses in a row. As for Villa, it would continue their unbeaten run of to make it 4 games in a row. But as you say, going for a last gasp winner with a time clocking over that 93rd minute mark.
Yeah, it's the highest of high lines that Villa are deploying as Toffolo with the diagonal ball up towards Cook. He does win the header. Watkins can then head it clear. The volley in towards goal. But I think the whistle had already gone before it was struck. So the point shared at the City ground. Both Forest and Aston Villa will probably see this as a missed opportunity. Forest took the lead on 15 minutes thanks to Emmanuel Dennis's header, but 7 minutes later a rocket from Ashley Young got Villa back on level terms. Full time at the City ground. Nottingham Forest